Welcome back to this I-24 News Evening Edition. This is the Daily Debate. 8 years ago today, Ismail Haniyeh was nominated as Prime Minister of the Palestinian Authority after Hamas won democratic elections in the authority. Until then, Hamas was in the shadow of the Fatah organization, mainly as its political opposition with an extreme military wing. But over the last 8 years, Hamas took control of the Gaza Strip, splitting the Palestinian Authority into two different initiatives, and also became a separate element within the future of the peace process. Joining me tonight is senior Fatah official Ahmed Ghoneim. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming. And independent Middle East analyst Avi Melmed. Good evening. Thank you for coming. So let's try to put it out in the open. Can I say that the Palestinian society is split, politically split, even culturally split? Because the way that the Fatah is thinking in a cultural, educational way, it's totally different than what Hamas is educating and thinking.
From the facts, it's real that there is a split in the Palestinian situation, but we are working hard for the reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas and trying to have agreement according to the will of the people, and we will return back to the people direct by using the election element, and we are calling Hamas soon to come to the reconciliation with goodwill and to close this paper of the conflict between the two parties.
You know, for the last days, we read some articles that said that Ismail Haniyeh sent some kind of a message to Benjamin Netanyahu to try and reconcile with the Israeli part. But it seems that it's more important to get for an understanding with the Israelis than to get with an understanding for inside the Palestinian society.
Yes, look, the Palestinian split is very decisive. We are talking about two different elements that are standing for totally two different positions regarding the ideological aspects. How do they view, how do they envision the Palestinian entity in the future? It's not only about the conflict over political power. They are basically arguing what would be the identity of this Palestinian entity in the most two component aspects of the Palestinian people. One is the question, would it be an entity that is guided along the lines of Hamas, Gaza style, which is a very strict Islamist law and so forth, where you can't find alcohol and women are dressed in a very strict code in the streets of the Gaza Strip? Or will it be Ramallah, the center of the Palestinian Authority, where you find alcohol and happy hour and you could see women dressed up in a more Western fashion? And the other thing, of course, is the question, how do they view the relation or the future with Israel? Mm-hmm. While Hamas obviously says, and he's not going to compromise that, he says we will never ever recognize Israel's right to exist. Some parts within the Palestinian Authority says, okay, we are willing to negotiate the terms of peace solution with Israel. So the split within the Palestinians is very deep, and it's non-bridgeable actually.
Is it non-bridgeable?
No, I don't think that. I believe that the ruling of Hamas on Gaza is coming to its end. Clearly, they didn't have serious solutions for the crisis that they are facing, and because the fail, according to, because of the fail of the Brotherhood and Islamic Brotherhood in Egypt, Hamas in very weak situation there, and I believe they are they having unwritten understanding with the Prime Minister of Israel, because both of them are escaping from the peace and trying to put obstacles in front of the peace. But this will not continue, and in the near future we will see that this period of Hamas are coming to its end.
You know, I'm trying to think, because what you said is a very interesting point about Israel and Hamas are trying maybe to damage and not get to the real peace process with the Palestinians, because let's not forget that the Israelis and Hamas actually sat down to release Gilad Shalit. They didn't sit down with Mahmoud Abbas. They sat down with Hamas officials to the release, which at the end, Hamas came out very strong from this deal. And Abu Mazen got back to the West Bank really weak.
You are talking about something specific deal and specific coordination between Israel by the assistant of one of the Israeli journalists. Mr. Gershon Baskin in that period, there are a very continuous contact between Hamas and indirect contact between Hamas and Israel, and we know that, all of know that. But the question is where they want to go, Israel and Hamas. What's the end of this game? And it's important for both of them to announce that they have kinds of relation with each other, and they are having a unwritten coalition, and they are working with each other to escape from the peace process. This is the dangerous coalition in the area, and we are working hard with Hamas to convince them that this game is against the interest of the Palestinian people, and they have to be part of the peace process, and they have to join Fatah by ruling West Bank and Gaza, and to come back to the election direct, and to start writing a new future for the Palestinian people.
What is Hamas trying to gain in this game?
Time and some oxygen. Hamas is under a lot of pressure. Hamas is experiencing one of its toughest time ever in its history. He's having difficulties following the war in Syria. His connection with Iran is very bad today. He has a lot of difficulties with the Egyptians, as you probably know. He has a lot of difficulties in the inner Palestinian arena, because one of the major reasons is what's going on today right now in Syria, and mostly the Yarmouk refugee camp, and the flow of refugees to Lebanon, and the growing number of Palestinian refugees in Lebanon, mostly in Al-Hilwa, and the very tense relation between Hamas and Hezbollah in Lebanon. There are different arenas where Hamas today is facing many challenges. He's pushed back to the wall, and he's doing one of the things that he's excelling. Pushed back to the wall, he's trying to maneuver. Hamas is coming from a situation of weakness today, and he's trying to play the best way possible with the cards that he has today in his hands, which are not so strong. We are not talking about willingness of Hamas to really reconcile from a position of changing its ideology. We are talking about Hamas that is willing, because of the circumstances, to come to negotiate with the Palestinians, with the Fatah, but just because of tactical reasons. Hamas is not changing its policy. It's not changing its ideology.
Yes, of course.
It is a tactical move, and I can promise you, when the circumstances will be different, you will hear different tunes coming from Hamas. Too short notice. One, there is already a lot of cracks inside Hamas. You have the more practical stream, which is headed by Ismail Haniyeh, but you have also, and Mash'al, but you have also the more hawkish, sort of speaking, Mahmoud al-Zahar and Musa Abu Marzouk and other people. You have inside Azad-Din al-Qassam Brigade, the military wing of Qassam, you have also different voices that are basically pulling to different sides. And one last note about something you said before. The Gilad Shalit deal, though it may seem as it gave Hamas some benefits, also at the same time, it also caused Hamas a lot of problems. Hamas is facing lots of inner pressure, because one of the things is because of the deal, the terms of the deal, and the other thing is because of the growing pressure and expectations of Palestinians from Hamas to reduplicate or to duplicate another abduction of Israeli soldier in order to release other prisoners. Hamas is today facing lots of pressure in different arenas. So he's coming from a weak position, trying to maneuver its position.
You know, we can say that Hamas actually hit Fatah really strong in the Gaza Strip. Seeing the people, the officials, officers who support Fatah being killed because they are supporting Fatah. It was a big hit to Abu Mazen, to Mahmoud Abbas. It was a big hit to the Palestinian Society. It was a big hit to even the peace process, because it showed that Mahmoud Abbas is not strong enough to actually manage his own society and to actually control Hamas.
Everywhere there are problems. In Israel there are problems, but there are framework, there are rules here, and they are trying to manage their differences by a different way. In Palestine, we are under occupation. The occupation is caused the problems and the obstacles in front of us. President Abu Mazen is strong enough to continue his way to achieve the peace in the region, but he is trying to complete and to do the reconciliation with the Hamas. I don't know if it's tactical or strategic issue, but I know that there is a serious debate within Hamas, and it's invading all of Hamas. Ahmed Youssef today had wrote a very important article talking about reviewing or the strategy of Hamas and trying to answer the hard questions, especially when they are talking about the resistance.
Ahmed Youssef is a very special voice in Hamas.
No, there are many. Ahmed Youssef, there are Ghazi Hamad, there are many people are talking. I know I was part of the truce which had been achieving in 2003. I met with Khalid Mish'al several times, and we succeed to get a truce in that time. I know I have good information that there is a serious debate invading Hamas now, and they are trying to pass this critical movement. I believe that according to my experience in Fatah, I believe that they will pass it. They need a time, and we have to encourage them to pass it by safe way, and we have to encourage them instead of to be in a coalition with the Prime Minister of Israel that he didn't have clearly political solution, to encourage them to be part of the peace process and to convince the international community that the Palestinians are unified toward achieving the peace.
Can you convince Hamas to get into a peace process? And it seems like a very, weird scenario.
Look, we in Fatah, we spent more than 30 years to believe that the two-state solution is the normal solution and the better solution for both of us, the Palestinian and the Israeli people. Hamas need a little time to learn from our experience and to be part of the international community. If they will not do that, believe me, Hamas will disappear.
Hamas will disappear?
No, Hamas is not going to disappear. He may go through some changes because of the circumstances. I would like very much to wish Mr. Ghoneim vision, but unfortunately, I have to remind you a small fact. Only in the last couple of days, there was a very clear statement by Hamas saying nobody gave authorization to Mahmoud Abbas to speak about the issue of two-state solution. Hamas, as I said, is sticking to its ideology. Any change that will happen on the ground will be the outcome currently of tactical maneuvers because of the crisis of Hamas. Now, it goes back to the most essential thing, and that is the inner Palestinian need to come forward with a consensus, an inner Palestinian consensus that reflect, in the end of the day, in the bottom line, the most important thing, and that is that the Palestinian people as a nation will come to the conclusion that their strategic interest, and the most important one, is to have peace with Israel. They are not there yet. They have a long way to go. By the way, I think this process is starting to take place because of what's happening in the Arab world, the Arab awakening or the Arab Spring.
Yes.
And one of the ramifications may be also in the context of Hamas. But as of now, in the given current circumstances, Hamas is not going to change his ideology. He may, to the best, practice some different tactical maneuvering, not beyond that, as for now.
No, I have a little different idea. I believe that Hamas is studying the situation in the regional countries, and they are learning from the experience in Egypt. They are not more strong than the Brotherhood movement in Egypt, and if we are witnessing the change that happened in Tunisia with the Nahda, they are a similar party of Hamas, and the new constitution that that they are set up in Tunisia is very important, and I believe that Hamas is witnessing to the changes in the region, and I believe they will be changed.
Gentlemen, I believe that our time is up. I'm sorry, but I believe that we'll be speaking about Hamas for a long, long time, please, for the next few months. Thank you very much for coming to the studio, and thank you, our viewers, for being with us. We are going out for a small break, 10 minutes break, and then we will be back for the one-on-one.